That was.
Is that practice?
That was, I didn't hit it like that.
Is that practice?
Practice. The Monday, October 21st, 2024 City of Vandalia Council meeting is now called to order. We'll start with a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's my understanding that the applicant for the rezoning ordinance on tonight's agenda has asked council to table the ordinance. Is there a motion to amend the agenda to consider item 11, ordinance 24-22 at this time in tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Follick and a second by Councilman Lewis to amend the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 7-0. All right. Ms. McHenry, can you please read the ordinance title by title only?
24-22, an ordinance rezoning 84.7577 acres of land located at 7848 South Brown School Road from agriculture A to residential single-family RSF-4 and amending the zoning map of the city.
All right, thank you. So based on that request, I'd like to ask for a motion to table ordinance 24-22 at the request of the applicant until such time as council votes to remove it from the table for consideration of its first reading.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Farce to amend the agenda. Ms. McHenry, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Follick,
Yes.
Councilmember Farce,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley,
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. All right, next we have the approval of minutes. We have the council study session minutes of September 16th, along with the council meeting minutes of September 16th. We also have the council budget workshop meeting minutes of October 7th, the council study session minutes of October 7th, the council meeting minutes of October 7th. Are there any comments or corrections to be made?
I have a question for Mr. Cron. When we talked about the parking of commercial and recreational vehicles, on study session of September 16, you said there were 27 violations issued. We discussed it, and council wanted clarification on the size of vehicles, and pictures, examples, photos were going to be taken.
Yes, I think we have that on a future study session agenda coming up. We're going to gather some information and have that stuff for you. I believe it's on the November 4th study session.
Okay,
So that we'll be bringing that back to you then.
thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, and that brings us to communications, petitions, and awards, which we have none, nor do we have a public hearing. And that brings us to comments from interested citizens. First of all, if you would like to make a comment, please state your name and address for the record clearly and concisely. In accordance with Ordinance 84-01, time limitation on speaking, no person shall be allowed to speak for longer than 5 minutes on the same matter until every other member desiring to speak on that matter has had an opportunity to do so. Anyone wishing to make a comment shall wait for recognition from me before beginning to speak, and all comments need to be addressed to me. This is an opportunity for you to make statements. It's not the time or place for a question and answer debate or dialogue. Comments that amount to personal attacks of any kind will not be permitted. Only the speaker recognized to speak shall have the floor. And please be respectful and refrain from talking amongst yourselves while someone else is speaking. So if there's anyone who'd like to make a comment, please come to the podium and make your comment.
Larry Dugan, 794 Walt Smith Way. This is a question, but it doesn't have to be answered right now. And what I want to do is have maybe a 5-minute talk with you, the mayor, after the meeting.
We can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else like to make a comment?
Just one correction, that is on the meeting for the 18th of November to bring back to discuss.
We didn't get your name and address for the record.
I was waiting for you.
All right, is there anyone else? All right, and that brings us to the city manager's report. Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have a few things for you this evening. First, the Rock the Wreck Halloween Party will be Saturday, October the 26th at the Vandalia Sports Complex from 12 noon to 4 p.m. There will be food trucks, hay rides, trick-or-treat, live music, inflatables, kids' activities, costume judging, and craft vendors, and more. Entry is free. All ages are welcome. Beggars Night in the city of Vandalia will be Thursday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. And one item not on the agenda, but I'd like to mention, as of this morning, we believe that the contractor will be mobilizing at the Art Park for the amphitheater project this week and starting construction later this week.
All right, good news.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Good news.
All right, we have no old business, and that brings us to our first resolution of this evening, that being Resolution 24-R-61. Ms. McHenry, by title only.
24-R-61, a resolution amending the Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual of the City of Vandalia.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeterman?
Thank you, Your Honor. As we discussed at a previous study session, we're requesting amendments to Section 800 of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual to update that section with current law and standards, but also to change some of our practices as they relate to vacation, sick leave, and bereavement leave. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I move that we approve Resolution 24-R-61 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lewis and a second by Councilwoman Dugan to approve Resolution 24-R-61 as presented. Any comments or questions? Call the roll.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Councilmember Follett?
Yes.
Councilmember Farsd?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 24-R-62 by title only.
24-R-62, a resolution establishing a summer meeting schedule for the months of June, July, and August 2025.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeterman?
Thank you, Your Honor. This will set the summer meeting schedule for the summer months. The meetings would be June 16th, July 21st, and August 18th, the third Mondays of those 3 months. We set this schedule knowing that we will hold the first Monday of each month in the event that we have a zoning case that would need to come forward in a more timely manner, but this would establish the summer schedule.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 24-R-62 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Farsd and a second by Councilman Follett to approve Resolution 24-R-62. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Follett?
Yes.
Councilmember Farsd?
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver?
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan?
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley?
Yes.
Mayor Herbst?
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. Next, we have Resolution 24-R-63 by title only.
24-R-63, resolution accepting the tax year 2024 to 2025 amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeterman?
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution will accept the rates as set by Montgomery County for tax year 2024. The county auditor notes that the amounts and rates are subject to changes due to election results and value changes. The revenue estimates for the city continue to be at a 95% collection rate, and they also have set the amount of funding that we included in budget for local government fund distribution. Be happy to answer any questions.
Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve Resolution 24R63 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Pollak and a second by Vice Mayor Blakesley to approve Resolution 24-R-63 as presented. Are there any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Fairst.
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Follett.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. We have no ordinances in their first or second reading. However, we do have an emergency ordinance, that being ordinance 24-21. Ms. McHenry, by title only?
24-21, an ordinance approving individual assessment amounts and directing the finance director or her designee to certify the amounts to the county auditor for collection and declaring an emergency.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. This emergency ordinance sets for assessment amounts owed for storm fees, water fees, trash collection, weed cutting, and property maintenance.
All right, thank you. And since this is an emergency ordinance, I'll open a public hearing. So if anyone would like to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and your comment. Being none, I'll close the public hearing. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2421 as an emergency.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Blakesley and a second by Councilwoman Fairst to approve ordinance 24-21 as an emergency. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Follett.
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. All right, next we have reports from boards and commissions. We have one item. We have BZA 24-09, which is a variance for a 6-foot fence in Zone A at 168 Colebrook Drive. Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. The applicant has requested a variance to permit the construction of a 6-foot fence in Zone A of the property located at 168 Colebrook Drive. The proposal involves replacing the existing chain link fence with a new 6-foot high privacy fence that extends 15 feet into Zone A. On September 25th, the Board of Zoning Appeals voted 3-0 to recommend the approval.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move to approve the variance, or BZA 2409, the variance at 168 Colebrook Drive, as recommended by the Planning or Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Pollak and a second by Councilwoman Avalotis Weaver to approve BZA 24-09, the variance for the 6-foot fence at 168 Colebrook Drive. Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Follett.
Yes.
Councilmember Fairst.
Yes.
Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Blakesley.
Yes.
Mayor Herbst.
Yes, and the motion passes 7-0. And that brings us to the bill listing for the September 2024 in the amount of $2,155,887.07, along with the monthly expenses over $25,000 and the monthly purchase card detail in the amount of $31,533.51. And that brings us to council comments, and we'll begin with Ms. McHenry.
Thank you for having me in place of Jerry today. It was really nice to meet you guys again.
And I didn't call you Mr. McDonald once.
You did good.
I did good. All right. Mr. Sweeterman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing else to add.
All right. Councilmember Avalotis Weaver.
Nothing. This was a pretty quick meeting, so I hope you guys all enjoyed when you went to the Fall Festival. I think they did a really great job a couple weeks ago, and get out and get to the Rock the Wreck.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Fairst.
Just want to thank staff. We've had two quite lengthy budget meetings that went quite well and quite smoothly. And I know it takes a tremendous amount of work from staff to do that, and really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Follett?
Just to echo Councilwoman Farr's comments, staff has put in a tremendous amount of time, and council has been here for 2 nights, meeting with staff over the 2025 budget and our 5-year outlook. And I think things are moving in the right direction, and appreciate Mr. Schwederman and staff's work on that process. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Lewis?
Echo the same comments, and actually, the budget process was, it was concise, it was cogent, it went, when we have to go through almost $30 million of expenditures, long-term debt, short-term debt for each department, and weigh in on the sources of our revenue, which comes both from the state, local, and then our own revenues that we generate from income tax revenues, principally. It's a very tedious process, and it's probably the single most important function of your city council is to understand our budget and to approve it yearly, because it guides the activities of the city for the entire year. And the staff and Mr. Schwederman did just an outstanding job, and at least from my point of view, presenting it to us in a very understandable manner, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dugan?
I want to second Mr. Lewis and tell everybody to please vote. That's all.
For what? All right. Vice Mayor Blakesley?
I'm not sure I can top any more of that, so I echo everything. I do appreciate Mr. Sweetman's view on, and his background, the way he presented is very concise and to the point, and a lot of information that was easy to digest. Not that it hasn't been in the past, but this can get quite lengthy, and I think this helped to zero in on what we needed to focus on and what the future looks like, and it doesn't look as bleak as the last year or 2 years ago. Certainly, I think we're on track, so appreciate all your work and staff as well.
All right, and I agree with everything that's been said about the budget. I appreciate all the hard work that staff has put into it, the way things have been presented. It's been clear and concise and understandable, and we certainly appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank again Ms. McHenry for getting us through this evening's meeting and covering for us. All right, this meeting is adjourned.